Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the SSCAIT Babes. Today we'll be going over rounds loser round 3, loser round 4, and the round 4, which is the semifinals of the main bracket. To start us off, we'll be looking at losers round 3, where you can see TSC Mu paired up against Lions Prower and Krazio paired up against Insanity Spreader. Unfortunately, Lions Prower had a programming project during this period of the tournament, and as a result, they had to step out. So TSC Mu was given the default win there. So we'll just go straight into Krazio versus Insanity Spreader for the losers round 3 match. I'm gonna make it a little bit quieter on my end. There we go. Um, so, unfortunately, there was a little bit of a delay with me getting to the rest of these broadcasts. I'm working on a big project. Hope you guys don't mind. Hope you guys are still interested in more games. And yeah, let's see what happens. I'm anticipating great games from this broadcast. We have some great matchups coming up. And of course, as we're getting closer and closer to the grand finals, we're going to see higher level play and more interesting play, I'm quite sure. Well, maybe not more interesting. I mean, given what we saw in the recent broadcasts with some of the offbeat strategies and some great games, including Lions Power, who unfortunately could not make it to this stage of the tournament. So, without further ado, let's hop right into the game, and that should have been the game right there. I'm not sure why I don't see it. Let's see, there we go. No, we have to put it at the top. There we go. Sorry about that. All right, let's jump right into it. Krazio, and like I said, walk over for TSCMU over Lions Prower, so he'll be moving on to losers round 4. Krazio versus Insanity Spreader was a best of 1, and let's see what the game is. It's top left against bottom right, and this looks to be Circuit Breaker, if I'm not mistaken. No, this is probably Andromeda, actually. I should have checked that before I started the replay, to be honest with you. We got a good luck, have fun from Insanity Spreader at the top left, who spawned as the blue Terran. And at the bottom right, we have Krazio, who spawned as the green Protoss. And I'm going to remove that real quick. Sorry about that. Been a minute since I casted some Brood War. There we go. Alright, so cross map positions on Andromeda. I believe we talked about this map at an earlier stage in the tournament when it was showed up. But PvT is very interesting on this map, first of all, because of the efficacy of carriers, the large mains, which also make arbiters very strong. But at the same time, Terran drop play also plays a factor into it. Starting off here at the bottom right, we see Krazio placing a pylon to the left of the main base. This is the generally bigger area for macro on this base, and on this base it would be over here. However, it is also very far from the ramp, which is located over here. Yes, Chobo did indeed say the map is Andromeda, and he just said it again just now recently. Anyway, you can fit at least like 12 gateways over here combined with this area where the third base mineral only is. But this area down here is bigger and it's easier to manage with. However, the longer walking distance is the reason why I would normally probably place my starting pylon somewhere around here and just start building gateways in this area. We'll start getting a better look with it due to Krazio moving up this way, and we can speed up a little bit. In the meantime, we see Insanity Spreader doing a great wall off here. You could make an argument for making depot barracks over here and then factory over here, just to have the extra surface area using the mineral line as a greater deterrent for Zealot Micro. Both players are going to be scouting to the top right first, and both are going to find each other here. Both should assume that they are in the next base over now. Cybernetics Core being added for Krazio, so nothing out of the normal here. 15 pylon as well, very standard one gateway play. A second depot here, not exactly effective. Actually, wait, hold on. I'm the one that made the mistake. Yeah, it's supposed to be Barracks Depot Factory, so it would have been Barracks Depot Factory here. That could have definitely worked to his advantage there. This depot doesn't really contribute much, but it's not exactly in the way either. Terran thankfully does not need to add more factories. So checking the Nexus timing is Insanity Spreader. He's going to see that there's a pylon, so there is obviously an intention of expanding to that natural. It looks like it's going to be at least 2 Dragoons before... 2 Gateway, actually. Interesting choice here. So maybe that was all a mind game, but it was a delayed 2 gate. It was like 10-23 gate. Normally you would see 10-15 for aggressive options or 10-21. First engagement here, let's take a look. There's 2 Marines here using the barracks to cover the vision. Interesting choice, so it makes it harder to pick off specific Marines. But no bunker at the front. This is a very risky play from Insanity Spreader, who doesn't have a tank out yet. Tank is almost done though, second Dragoon on the way, and this could have been a dangerous situation for Insanity Spreader, but I feel like Krasio may be getting a little mind-gamed by this barracks here. One take against True Dragoons, even one of them injured. The tank should still lose this, but with proper repairs and proper micro, very nice control here by Insanity Spreader. Good control to bring the SCVs to repair. I would have liked to see maybe a couple more SCVs brought forward to body block these Dragoons, and the first tank I think should still go down. And actually not a single Dragoon loss. Very nice micro here from Krasio, but the SCVs are going to be able to take it down. Mineral Walk to the natural could also assist in that. Next tank is going to come out and take out that Dragoon for sure. But again, this is all stemming due to the lack of a bunker for this build, which is kind of surprising to me. This Dragoon can actually run right up and try to start taking engagements against the tank, but I would not recommend it. Repair makes the tank much more effective. Better to back up and wait for the reinforcements. And it's actually a 3-gate Dragoon with like 4 of them being placed into one gateway. That could contribute to the delay of economy here and the inability to constantly supply with reinforcements despite the production facility advantage here. Second factory now coming out for Insanity Spreader, perhaps reading the fact that this is an aggressive opening from Krasio, even though the number of Dragoons hasn't necessarily been indicative of that. Yeah, lots of Dragoons queued in every base so far, and this is basically shaping up to be an all-in. The Dragoons are going to try to come down right on top of the siege tank, and they are going to do so. That tank is going to go down. Tank on the top, on the high ground, is going to hold off this engagement for a little bit longer. Again, Krasio, I do agree with the fact that losing 1 or 2 Dragoons here or there in exchange for a single tank is almost always worth it against Terran, but that's predicated on the fact that you're expanding your economy at the same time as well. And finally, Krasio is going to go for that Nexus. He says, I am done. So I don't know if that is an admission of defeat or if that is him saying that he's done being aggressive. You know, opinions can differ. A lot of Dragoons coming out right now, by the way. So there is still a possibility if all 4 of these Dragoons arrive at... Okay, well, I guess we'll get clarification. 8 Dragoons should be able to bust this, no problem, and possibly end the game. Yeah, I guess Krasio doesn't have the confidence in his play, but he's also at the same time gearing up for a late game, going for the fast double expand right here. So I don't think that he's quite doomed yet. Maybe this is not helping out at all. Losing Dragoon there is costly. But again, it's only 2 siege tanks and 1 vulture here. So I do believe that even with this force, he could be able to push in and do damage. In the meantime, we do see that dropship tech coming in for Insanity Spreader. It could be extremely damaging. As I mentioned earlier, this high ground here is a perfect place to drop siege tanks and shell into the natural. Definitely denies the second gas from Protoss, which is devastating to Arbiter timings and other tech timings that you might opt for. Excuse me, denies some of the minerals in the natural as well, and will force probes to run away and start mining from the less efficient base over here. So siege push here with the dropship could be very effective. I would normally prefer to send 1 siege tank and 1 vulture and 1 or 2 SCVs, because then you could actually hold on to this position for much longer. You can build turrets up here, prevent any shuttles from coming in. We do see a robotics facility from Krasio, but no observatory yet as far as I can tell, and no shuttle coming out either, so he will be caught with his pants down on this one. Third Nexus is just coming up now though, and the worker count is actually firmly in the favor of Insanity Spreader, definitely due to the fact that he went for a more economical build with a fast expand against a 3-gate semi all-in. Idle probes definitely not helping matters here as well, but with 3 Nexi, he should be able to catch up. Dropship has just arrived here, dropping the siege tanks here. Yes, indeed. I'm glad that we finally get to see this play utilized. I would have probably sieged up a little bit closer, to be honest with you, because, yeah, at this point, you're not going to actually reach any of the workers here, and Krasio has clearly become aware of this. The second gas is denied, but he could have taken out at least 5 or 6 probes before that. Posting up here is not that big of a deal because Dragoons, they're not going to be able to do much shooting uphill. Maybe worried about the fact that Okay, so Krasio calls the GG. And in a discussion I had with Insanity Spreader, I would have probably, if this was a more serious tournament, I would have probably taken that as an admission of defeat. I don't agree with Krasio that this map just does not work out for PvT. That is definitely not the case. Protoss have ample opportunities to take advantages on this map. The center, decide this center base is not important. And yes, Insanity Spreader makes a great point. It's all about how good the player is as opposed to map balance, especially at our level, which is the amateur level, not the pro level. Anyway, there's plenty of open spaces to engage against Terran. There's plenty of room to create a concave. Let me see if I can zoom out and show it here. If you create a concave kind of like this, it's very hard for Terran to move out. Even with the high ground support, you can flank from multiple angles, including the center and the bottom. So Terran can be effectively limited to maybe 3 bases, and if you're unlucky, an island. Whereas Protoss can easily take the majority of the map. The only thing that you have to be worried about is this power generator location. This location is of course dangerous, and one dropship coming out with 3 zealots. That could be enough to take out all 3 of these tanks, especially if there's no reaction from Insanity Spreader. Insanity Spreader should have probably unsieged and loaded up everything, and looks like Krasio is doing exactly what I was talking about. He's going to go and try to take out the majority of the map. He's going to leave these zealots up here, I guess, for now, just to prevent any future zealot drops. I would like to see maybe a Dragoon dropped over here or a probe. I'm also not sure if Krasio is aware that you can kill these power generators. I'm sure that maybe in the heat of the moment he's not recognizing this as a possibility. So yeah, going up to 4 bases, the Nexus in the natural has been out of commission for a very long time. Poor mining efficiency here in the mineral only has led to what I would have expected to be an economic advantage for Krasio, but Insanity Spreader has just been a little bit more lax on producing SCVs, possibly a little bit more focused on the harass and on teching up. We do see double armories up. We should see +1 finishing soon, followed up by +2, +1. No science facility quite yet though, so unfortunately it's not going to be quite on time. But again, you can't count yourself out of the game just because of the races, or just because of your cheese in the early game failing at this level. And especially on maps that are, I would say, relatively fair. We're not talking about tiers of the Protoss where there's 2 entrances into your natural against Zerg. But yeah, another Krasio staple here. We see cannons being added preemptively at each base, but in this case I actually think that it makes a lot of sense considering the fact that we're aware that dropship tech is a factor. One thing that is annoying though is that Terrans with dropship can actually drop their siege tanks on the low ground, use their dropship for vision, and shoot the probes up this way. Cannons will not protect you against that. Dragoons out here, there's not a significant number of them. The supplies are quite equal. That means that Insanity Spreader is definitely ahead in army, considering the difference in economic numbers. But with 62 probes, Krasio is getting up to that number that you want to have, and there we go. Stargates are coming up. Fun fact, when I played against Krasio in a practice game for fun kind of thing, I played Terran and he beat me with a hidden carrier strategy. Okay, interesting choice here from Insanity Spreader. He's going to drop the vultures out here to lay up some mines. This could be a good option. You could lay mines over in this area to prevent any Protoss army from coming out. And now, as I mentioned it, the power generator is being taken down. Observer is going to scout across the map, and it looks like it's almost a speed upgraded one. I think that I'm on only regular speed, so that's a very fast speed upgrade. Mining up this bottom left main, I'm not sure if that is as useful. You could use 1 mine on each of the bases here to keep track of when the Protoss is expanding, but unfortunately for Insanity Spreader, Krasio is at the top right, and he is going for carriers, something that I don't think that Krasio Spreader is aware of yet. We do see comstats coming up now. They're definitely heavily delayed. Normally, from what I know, you want to get comstats at around 50 supply, or at least your academy started at around 50 supply in most games. You do have 2 dropships now. 2 dropships are more fearsome than 1, of course. You can load up a lot of stuff, but there is ample cannon count now in the defenses for Krasiobot, and he is up to 70 pros, which is close to that ideal number. I thought for a second this might be a command center, but unfortunately it's not. Actually, there's Wraiths. Interesting choice here. I guess you could deny island expansions for them, or maybe... Now, I thought for a second that maybe he had scanned and saw the carriers, in which case Wraiths would be a beautiful answer. There is an observer inside the main base of Insanity Spreader, so Krasio would hypothetically be aware of any Wraith play. but no, instead it seems to be a mech push, and actually it's a quite scary one. I mean, we do have 2-1 now. That was quite that was a lot faster than I expected it to be. And equal supplies generally means that the Terran should be favored, especially with so much supply sunk into carriers. But the first two carriers are already out. They will be able to do a lot of damage. And actually going Arbiter as well behind this. Interesting choice, but no Arbiter on the way yet. Not the best choice, I think. Also spending a lot of gas on this. I don't think you can support this with 3 geysers this way. This amount of Stargates as well as the double tech, I don't think it's feasible. We'll need a lot of speed loss to follow up with this, but there's a significant number of vultures. Looks like Insanity Spreader is kind of taking a little bit too much time, though. He seems more intent on expanding than he is on pushing at this point. I think that a push could actually be wildly successful. Maybe not so much with the carriers now growing in number. Goliaths are now coming out for Insanity Spreader as well. So Goliaths will be helpful, but there's only 5 factories, 1 starport. That is not nearly enough. The gas starvation that resulted from being on 2 bases for so long is showing. I believe this is also a gas where 4 SCVs can be justified. Excuse me. Looking like there is going to be an engagement here. Maybe it would be great if all of this army could coalesce into one significant determined push. But again, as I mentioned before, the carriers are now out in significant numbers, and they're going to be able to start applying pressure against this forward force. There's only a couple of Goliaths here. They're not ready for this. The vessel, yes, gets sniped. Yes, it does. No EMP on these carriers, and more carriers arrive. I said 5. 5 or 6 carriers is generally the number that you need to have in order to mount a successful ground-air assault against mech, especially mech that is not expecting the carriers to arrive. So this is going to be absolutely devastating for Insanity Spreader, who drops well below Krasio's economy, and 80 probes for Krasio. That is about the maximum that you would want in this kind of scenario. Definitely needs to spread out his economy a little bit more, maybe taking these side bases. I see the probes already considering it. But yeah, carriers catching you with your pants down. It was 1-1-1, I presume, upgrades is definitely, yes indeed, is going to be basically a wrap for Insanity Spreader. He does not have the production to make enough Goliaths, possibly because of the fact that the layout of the base is like this. You could actually fit another factory here. You could probably fit at least like this. You could fit another block of 4 here, but I'm guessing that the SimCity is what prevented more from being made, and also because of the delays in pushing. Oh my, what is wrong with me? I'm coughing all over the I know this is a scary time to be talking about coughing all over the place. I'm quite certain I don't have COVID because I don't go anywhere, so don't worry too much about that. Unfortunately, D-Matrix is not going to make much of a difference here. The pure ground army from Insanity Spreader is not going to make much of a difference against the carriers. The attempt at harassing this base has failed. Actually, I mean, there has been a drop. I just realized this. I just looked at the worker count, and it's dropped by 26. That's significant. But at this point, ooh, okay. Insanity Spreader is definitely not out of this yet, pushing the carriers back with Goliaths. And now the carrier count is transitioning into a point where it's almost pure carrier. Let me see how many carriers we have on screen here. We have 10. And there's more still being pumped out. No Arbiters still yet. But when the Protoss opts to go, okay, as always, I'm late and wrong, but whenever the Protoss goes for pure air army, you can always invest into pure Goliaths, but when there's a mix of carriers and ground army, it becomes a little bit more problematic to balance your army status, but that still doesn't mean that this army can't win the game. Again, as I mentioned at the start of this game, carriers are fantastic against... they're fantastic on this map due to the amount of ridges, amount of bases that they secure, like the island bases, the high grounds that they can abuse. So even if this base doesn't go down now, it could be a cost-effective trade for Insanity Bot. I'm sorry, Krasio. And there is still, it looks like there's still some ground army out there for Krasio. He is maxed out. Maybe he's trying to transfer all of that economy, supply economy, into carriers at the moment. Yeah, we still see flashing over here. But now the 3-2 Goliaths are starting to rise in number, and there is a significant bank for Insanity Spreader. He needs to find those extra gases, and he has found one at the 12 o'clock island base. In open space, the carriers are not going to fare too well, opting to poke at the interceptors in there. Does not get the Arbiter, though. And, I mean, for now, Insanity Spreader's hold has held rather. I thought that for sure that Krasio could win with that army, but it looks like at least he's going to be able to defend himself here. The Goliaths are out of position. They're all down here waiting for a defense. First, it looks like a defensive carriers are out there and they got deflected. Carriers are coming in from behind. Two arbiters now and a ground army. So yeah, I like the fact that Krasio is continuing to mix in ground army with his air army, and is actually going to. I thought he was going to go over here and deny this base, but yeah. Anyway, as I was saying earlier, I think the drop did a lot more damage than I gave it credit for. It definitely slowed down Krasio's roll, and now the carriers have been out for quite a significant number of time in the amount of time in the game. So it becomes a little bit more manageable for Insanity Spreader, even though he is still so gas starved. I mean, he's on 3 gases. This one is still running, but not for long. This one is depleted. He definitely needs to take those bottom left bases and take this gas ASAP if he hopes to have a chance of success. Stasis lands on the army here, and it controls some of the interceptors here, but the Goliaths went down as well. Another army cleaned up, and the gas is the limiting factor for Insanity Spreader. At this point, as ridiculous as it may sound, because this is a joke meme build that people have done or talked about on the Team Liquid forums, I would consider just throwing down, like, I don't know, a couple barracks and going Marine Medic against this, because there is still a much more significant number of carriers than there is ground army. Krasio now going for the middle base and has caught up, is coming up back in probe count, but perhaps looking at his bank is not looking at it as a necessity at the moment. This base is getting caught with its pants down because there was no defenses here. Small army sent out this way, perhaps Insanity Spreader worried about spreading himself too thin, and also still, as I mentioned before, the gas is an issue. But more factories is the more pressing matter in this case, and actually got his 12 base taken out. The carriers with the Arbiter support is going to come in. It's going to be incredibly difficult for the Goliaths to walk back up the ramp and try to take this down. There's also the power generators are still there. Stasis on 3 Goliaths. This is heady. This is like dream Protoss play from Krasio. This is stuff that you wish you could do at the higher levels, but you can't because you can't afford to do that, and is actually focusing down on the depots, and it is having an effect. Insanity Spreader is no longer at 200, more of them coming down. I've probably focused on the science facility first. There we go. A little bit of focus on the science facility now. Dropship goes down. That was errantly sent in there. More carriers down here as well, and yeah, Insanity Spreader just doesn't have the production. There's a ghost out, I'm presuming for lockdown, but unfortunately the add-on, it looks like it was denied before it could do anything. Inconsistent scanning. Stasis as well with a great body block here. Taking out the armories should seal the deal here more than anything else. Yeah, first armory looks like it's going to go down here. Second armory is going to go down. There's not going to be more Goliath production. Nukes! Where's the nuke? Oh my god, are you serious? I thought that it... No. Oh, jeez. Yes. Awesome. Yeah. Okay, Insanity Spreader props. Just straight up props. Yes, you earned it. You earned the GG. Even after the questionable start, you know, like the stuff in the middle, this was a fantastic game in its own right. Well played by both players. Krasio showing the strength of the hidden carrier switch. Insanity Spreader showing the tenacity of Terran. Great game, everyone. Thank you so much. Yes. And unfortunately with that, Insanity Spreader is out of the tournament. Someone that I was definitely enjoying watching. Let's take a look what we can find here. Krasio a bit faster. That is reflected in how much better he took bases and pumped up his worker count, I think. Better multitask, and yeah, overall, just Krasio definitely earned that victory from coming back from a disadvantage, but maybe the headspace isn't exactly what you would like to see in this tournament. You know, blaming it on maps or matchups, I don't think that that is necessarily fair, especially in that scenario. Anyway, that was the losers round 3. Let's see. And now we're going to go into the losers round 4 immediately. So as I mentioned earlier, TSC Mu advanced by default of walkover over lines per hour, and now it's going to be TSC Mu against Krasio for losers round 4. And let's take a look at how this game goes. Losers round 4. Wait, what? What the what? Did I not get this? Huh. Alright, you guys have to put up with me for just a second. I'm going to... I definitely created the folder because I thought I had the replays. There was no reason otherwise. So, let me take a look. Yes, alright, I do have it. Sorry about that. Looks like I just didn't put it where it needed to be. Okay. Classic. Classic Chobo. Doing this as fast as possible as I can for you guys. I'm sorry. Okay. Let's see. That should do it again. Losers round 4. TSCMU versus Crazio game 1. Let's go. So spawning at the top left of what looks to be Fighting Spirit. Actually, no. This is Empire of the Sun. I'm willing to bet it. I should have checked again. I don't know why I don't check. Why don't I check? I ran this tournament. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is Empire of the Sun. Crazio spawning at the top left as the yellow Protoss against TSCMU. Yet another Terran opponent for Crazio spawning as the orange Terran. The colors are a little bit problematic maybe, but not too bad. Unfortunately, I don't think I can do anything about it. Yes, I can. TSCMU now in the blue Terran at the bottom right, and Crazio spawning as the red Protoss on the top left of what I perceive to be Empire of the Sun. And Crazio saying, I am on a shitty connection. That is a horrible feeling, knowing that it is your fault that this happens. Don't drop me. Oh, wrong button. There we go. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to micro. It depends on what kind of compositions and strategies they go for. It seems like everything's going pretty fine so far, so hopefully it won't be too big of a hurdle going into this. First pylon is kind of indicative of the fact that we are on Empire of the Sun. Crazio saying that sometimes it lags for a minute or two. First depot, not in a very descript location. Yeah, not very descript location. You would have to place the barracks here in order for it to be a microable one, but unfortunately, no, it does not seem to be the option. Not going to be anticipating any zealot pressure is TSCMU, and looking to make that gas very soon. There we go. There is that gas. A very standard play so far from TSCMU. Crazio looking to go for 12 gas, it seems. It's the old school style. Nowadays, the young cool kids get it at 11. But getting the 12 gas up, also very standard play so far from Crazio as well. So, let's talk about this map. And I was so deeply mistaken. It is indeed Fighting Spirit. I don't know what's wrong with me. I guess I just didn't recognize how much dirt there is on the remastered. Yeah, I have no excuse, actually. I'm just horrible at what I do. That's all there is to it. So yeah, Fighting Spirit, TVP, generally nowadays considered to be favored for Terran, but I would warrant to say that at this level, it's 50-50 at worst. Terran does have access to a very easy third. By matter of going through this way, the Protoss can only push through it this way or break the bridge. Normally what Terrans would do is land like a barracks, engineering bay, depot, turret, bunker, stuff like that. This base is pretty good for it too. You can definitely position tanks here. First factory coming up all the way on the side over here. Kind of far away from the ramp, is going to get harassed by this probe. This is going to lead to some annoyance, but not that much it seems. First couple Marines coming out. I'm curious to see. I mean, there are still 3 SCVs on gas. That's kind of indicative of a potential 2-fac. But the second factory should have started by now. Maybe it's not going to be a 2-fac. Maybe we're going for, I don't actually know, maybe FD, because you need to get that mine and siege tank tank out. But even then you would pull SCVs off gas. So I'm kind of curious about what build we're going for. Meanwhile, TSCMU does confirm the 2-gate from Crazio. 2-gate, as I discussed earlier, is a little bit more aggressive than what most people are going for nowadays. Normally, Protoss would go for some version of 1-gate Nexus. Either the 21 Nexus or the 28 Nexus. So 21 out of 33 supply or 28 out of 33 supply. You throw down your Nexus over here. 1 Zealot, 1 Dragoon could be a little problematic for this composition, but because of the fact that there are an ample amount of Marines, it's not going to be too big of a deal, and it is indeed going to be a 2-fac, but it is admittedly a very late 2-fac. You kind of want to cut into your Marine production in order to put that second factory up. The mineral count is what it was holding TSC move back, and now suddenly Krasio's 2-gate and Robo is looking like a very solid response to this 2-fact. This is more classic Brood War era styles. When people were less inclined to play economical, when people had worse micros so they couldn't afford to go for an expansion heavy build because superior unit count meant that they would likely lose their expansion. But now that builds have been optimized, micro has improved, a lot of people are going for more greedier builds. You very rarely see both the 2-gate and the 2-fact, especially in one game. 2-gate Robo even less so. There are some builds that go for 2 gateways before Nexus with no Dragoons actually, which is kind of interesting to me. But this case, no, looks like just straight up safe play from Krasio, and is banking up quite a lot of minerals. Excuse me, the macro doesn't seem to quite be there. What? Okay. It just did 3, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know who that was actually. It probably wasn't talking to me anyway. So, micro in the front here. Let's look. Decent micro from Krasio. The uninjured Dragoons out front sees the mines. I would have probably just dove for it. Not realizing that this is a 2-fact because it looks like an FD composition. You normally get that number of Marines, that number of Vultures, and a Siege Tank. With an FD, maybe the Vultures are slightly faster. What Krasio could have done is taken that injured Dragoon and walked it on top of the mines and caused a big boom, bada boom explosion on top of the tanks. Now he should start suspecting that there's something going on more than just an expansion Terran. He's going to try to focus down the tank. He's going to run forward against the mines. Nicely done. He loses focus on the tank. He brings it back to the focus on the tanks. Great control from Krasio here, honestly. TSC moves, these Dragoons are now stranded, but looks like Krasio does have 2 Dragoons out. Is it going to be enough to hold these 3 Vultures? Yes, it should. They are all injured that he needs to hold here. A pylon wall would be helpful as well. Forge is already up to try to prevent this, but again, but I'm not sure about walking out like this. A move is going to be the undoing of TSC here. If he ran past, he might have been able to do some economic damage, but in this case, unfortunately, no. All the Vultures go down. The Dragoons are managing to hold it down. 1 Dragoon manages to escape as well from the pressure from the tank here and the natural. In the meantime, the command center is coming up. It's going to be behind the expansion from Krasiobot, but again, this investment into cannons early on in the game might hurt Krasiobot further down the line. Economies are very similar going into the mid game now, as both builds seem to have traded, I would say, rather equally for both players. Definitely a lot of army lost on both. Maybe don't want to lose that many siege tanks, but siege mode is coming in now. Mines are already out in play. Observer is out. This could actually be a little bit dicey for Krasio. I'm sorry, for TSC, depending on how the control goes. The Observer needs to go in front of the Dragoons, needs to pressure these mines quickly before siege mode comes in order to hopefully take down another tank or 2. I think that could be a worthwhile endeavor. But as always with mines, you have to play very carefully. Have to use the full strength of your hotkeys, using 1 to move the Observer, using 2 to move the Dragoons, or attack move rather, or however, whatever your layout you have. We're seeing it develop now, but I think siege mode is going to be done soon, and in fact it is done now. Siege mode in this position is going to be easily be able to hold this number of Dragoons, I believe, especially with the support of mines and a turret. The Protoss cannot engage, and this is a time and place when the when the Protoss should start thinking, time to take a 3rd base. Not sure I agree with the addition of the 2nd turret, to be honest with you. I think maybe that is a little bit OD, maybe hoping to deny any shuttle play, but in that case I would have probably placed it like here, maybe, or maybe like here with a floating building over here. 3rd base is on the way up for Krasio. Great read on the situation, seeing the fact that Terran has decided to turtle up a little bit, denying the scout as well. I would have loved to see maybe a Dragoon over here at the 3rd base as well to deny the expansion and to deny scouting and run-bys, because Vulture run-bys could be scary at this point. Looks like actually TSC is plotting to push, and this is actually a scary time to push when the Protoss is going up for their 3rd Nexus. This is the time when a push is feasible, but normally you would want to be at like 5 factories at this point. It seems like he's burned his money into the queue. Krasio seems aware of this. The Observer vision does give him a hint of the fact that something is coming up soon, so being able to flank right now from both sides could be a dangerous moment. Needs to siege up these tanks as well. No, looks like Krazio's not committing to attack. He's going to take a couple of free shots on his army. His army has taken quite a significant number of damage. And it should be noted that TSMU is playing without any sort of detection mobile. You know, no vessel, no engineering bay. I'm sorry, no academy, no ComSat station. So this is still a kind of a risky position. He actually left with his whole army. And now Krazio is realizing, wait, where's he going? So TSC Mu is going for the W here. Mines blocking off the retreat of the Dragoons could be effective here. But the siege tanks are being so sneaky, hugging the water, using the terrain to their advantage. I like this play, and this is part of the reason why cannons are not effective. They're not going to be able to do anything about this. And gateways 3 and 4 are just now coming up. Citadel has finished. There's 2 shuttles. The shuttles will prove instrumental in stopping this push, but unfortunately, I think it's too little too late. Krazio got caught with his pants down, being out of position. The Observer did not track the army, and that's going to be difficult for him to deal with. Observer speed has already come in, and he's floating so much money. He needed those gateways up earlier, and I know exactly what he's feeling too. I feel like he just didn't build those infrastructure pylons in his main base in time to add those gateways that would help him pump to the numbers that he needs. He is ahead in economy. He's not ahead in supply anymore, though, given the fact that he's lost so much and vultures produce so fast. And this is now a dedicated, committed push from TSCMU, going up to 4 factories here, and is going to continue pushing, I presume. Definitely want to see an academy just in case Dark Templar have stalled out pushes in the past. This vulture only killed 1 probe. This nexus is likely to go down. This nexus is cut off from transfers of probes, and it looks like Krazio was actually planning on, maybe they were saving up the money to go for that same Stargate strategy again, but they got cut off with a timing push right when it hurts the most, right when Protoss is getting that 3rd base, and that is going to do it, I feel, for Krazio. I mean, there is still ample opportunity to bust, but still hasn't added the requisite amount of gateways. I'd be pumping on 8 gates right now. Has 2 shuttles, not enough zealots, and TSMU doesn't have anti-air here either, so I would have hoped to see maybe something along those lines. A shuttle could definitely zealot bomb these siege tanks and help bust out of this situation. And again, TSMU is investing just about everything in this. The rally may be in the main base, but the armies are consistently going forward. We're trying to push uphill now with pure tank mass. He's going to siege up a couple of them. The Dragoon tried to run down and grab some splash damage. I think it might have even been successful in that. SCVs have arrived as well. Creating an engineering bay and floating it uphill could be useful. Building turrets here could be useful. Using them to scout instead, it seems. 4 gateways of production. Zealots coming out now. Looks like they do indeed have speed. And the push is continuing. I mean, the reinforcements are too great, I think, for Krazio, who came up to 4 gateways way too late in the game, is pushing pure zealots. Oh, this is a bad siege up, though. I can't agree with this one. This one's going to hurt big. Can he even get a shot off? Yeah, he gets 1 shot off. But yeah, zealots are not going to fare too well against heavy vulture count, and that is what's going to be coming out, given the fact that there are 4 factories, 2 of them without machine shops, so it's going to be heavy vulture count against heavy zealot count. The vultures are going to prove superior here, I feel. The mine is in a dangerous position. Oh, it does a lot of damage, indeed. But again, yeah, I feel like, no, there's not going to be enough here to hold on. There is an expansion of economy here. There's probes being made, 1 Stargate, 1 fleet beacon, but there's not enough economy to afford it, though. This mine, no, does not prove useful here. Observers are coming out to try to keep tabs on the situation, but yeah, Krazio is just struggling to get an army out, and he's not using his shuttles to the maximum efficacy that he could, I think. Maybe those shuttles were intended for some sort of harass play, and they're just not working out to their intended effect. Maybe he's not putting it 2 and 2 together to that he needs to use them for defense here. But at the same time, though, he lost that backbone of Dragoons that he needs in order to combat with the Vultures, and laying mines now inside the main base of Krazio is TSCMU, and this is going to be very, very dangerous territory, very difficult to break. A good mine drag could help if he can bring the mine all the way here, take out some vultures and some siege tanks, but no, the zealots are going to go down before they can do so. First Dragoon comes out, is going to be round the brink of death with the mine. Tried to drag it, didn't get much out of it, though. 2 observers here, needed one in the main base here, and more reinforcements coming from TSCMU. Looks like he sent some up here to check for a base. Unfortunately, not going to find one. First carrier is on the way for Krazio. He's not completely out of it yet, but you would have to think that with the loss of the majority of his economy here, there's easily 24 probes here, is going to struggle quite a bit in getting back into this game. A surprise carrier switch could do it, We don't see an armory yet. We do see comsat stations though, so they could find the expansion at any time. And actually, Krasio, I mean, he's still economically ahead, but no, he's going to tap out. He knows that losing this much infrastructure and workers could be devastating. And TSU asked for BO1 or BO3. Unfortunately, it's BO1, and Krasio saying he made 2 shuttles instead of observers. That explains it. I don't think it would have swung the game, and I think the shuttles would have been good, but unfortunately they were not used for that purpose. Krasio actually had the good response if he used those shuttles, I think, because then early pushes suffer from lack of anti-air in PvT. But yeah, unfortunately, we're going to have to say that Krasio is out for the tournament, and TSU has taken this match. He's going to go into losers finals of whoever comes out of the next best of 3 series alive. And coming up next for you, we have Antigua Irion against Purple Wave Jadian. So it was a Jadian. And these two could easily be considered the favorites to win the tour. Perhaps Antigua a little bit more than Purple Wave, but both of them are easily the strongest known players of the bot authors that are prominent in the scene, that are active in the scene right now. So it's going to be great to see what kind of gameplay they'll bring to the table. Based on what I know, Antigua started off a little bit shaky in this tournament, but using the fact that getting the... In Russian, it's called azart. It's not exactly a hunger, it's not exactly an addiction, but it's more like the feeling, the desire, the adrenaline rush of playing the game. He got that back from playing in this tournament, and as a result, he's been playing on ladder, and he's risen to a pretty high rating. So, it's going to be potentially an uphill battle for Purple Wave Jadian, and it's going to be a PvZ. First game is going to be on Icarus. Let's take a look. Spawning at the top right as the teal Protoss, we have Antigua. I guess this is, what do they call this? Like lime? It's like off. No, it's not lime. It's like teal gray. We'll call them teal. Antigua spawning as the Protoss in the top right of Icarus. Well, actually, it's more like the mid right. Let's call it 3 o'clock. And at the 6 o'clock base, we have Purple Wave spawning as the purple Protoss as Purple Wave Human. I thought I removed that. Anyway, so PvZ on Icarus, one thing to note is that Protoss have a hard time producing the requisite amount of gateways in their main bases on this map because it's kind of cramped, but this applies more to PvP and PvT than it does to PvZ. This base is surely enough to field the requisite amount of gateways, which is typically like around 10 or 12 at most in PvZ. Generally, keeping your army alive is more important than being able to resupply. You rarely see more than 12 or 14, sometimes 16 gateways in PvZ. Definitely not as likely to be seen here. Taking the second main will be very important for Antigua in this matchup. Eventually, further down the line. In the meanwhile, Purple Wave has gone for a 12 hatchery against 2-gate from Antigua. Interesting choice from Antigua to go for 2-gate. 2-gate should not fare well against 12 hatch. 12 hatch usually beats out 2-gate when it's not done as a proxy. Proxy 2-gate can beat 2 hatch. Long distance 2-gate should lose out. Why? It's because you will be able to produce enough Zerglings, and actually, it's going to be tight. I think Purple Wave overproduced. No, he should be fine. He knows his build orders. You can produce 8 Zerglings as soon as the hatchery pops, and economy is actually not there. No, it seems like, yeah, the 3rd hatchery was too early. Yeah, he messed up a little bit. You need those 8 Zerglings to come out ASAP to take down the first Zealot, the first probe. That is what you absolutely need in order to stop the 2-gate. And that is what makes 2-hatch great against this build from Protoss. And it's because of the fact that you get that earlier larva economy. This creep colony is in danger. Zealots are getting surrounded, though. First Zealot is in trouble. This Sunken is almost at the health that you don't want to make a Sunken at. Being 135 health, it's going to lose 100 health as soon as it's done, because Sunken colonies have 300 health, regular colonies have 400. Don't ask me why that is. It's Brood War stuff. Great control from Purple Wave Human, though. Managed to surround the Zealots and do a little stutter step there to take them down. advantage, I think, despite a little bit of a shaky start, goes to Purple Wave Human in this case. Followed up with a Cybernetics Core, perhaps Antigua borrowing a page from the book of some of the top Protoss AIs. Looks like maybe, will they be going for Dragoons? Uh, Frankly, I don't think that that is entirely likely. I think maybe a follow-up of a Sair or a Citadel would be the right play here, or maybe both. And yeah, again, check out the health on the second colony. It now has 100 less health. It's almost dead already. But I'm sure that that scared Purple Wave a little bit. He did manage to go up to 3 hatcheries behind this. The gas was definitely delayed behind this as well. You want to get your gas a lot earlier against one base Protoss builds just to react to what they're making. It is indeed going to be a Citadel. I would have liked to see an Overlord. Yeah, Overlord is in here, is going to confirm the presence of the Cybernetics Core and the the gas. And yeah, definitely did the right path here too to see that. So should be aware of the fact that tech is coming out. The proper response to this, as far as I know, is to add the Hydralisk Den to deal with the early Sair pressure that might be coming out. And on top of that, you want to go for a layer as well to get that Overlord speed in case there's any Dark Templar shenanigans, allow you to transition into Lurker if it's a pure Zealot build, and it does seem to be a Zealot heavy build at the very least. There is one probe over here. I don't think that that's absolutely necessary with this number of Zealots. And Stargate is done. Citadel is done, and first Sair is now on the way. It's going to be very annoying for Purple Wave because he does have that layer, and the timing of the Hydralisk Den kind of infers a potential transition into Lurkers, which I do think is a good option, but it's going to leave him limited on anti-air options at the moment. Maybe an Evolution Chamber and a Colony would be the answer here. Finding a couple of idle drones in his natural is Purple Wave as he failed to make a building due to economy. First Overlord is going to, first Corsair is going to be out. He's going to see that there's no Overlord in the natural. Scouting Ling at the same time is going to verify the composition of Antigua. So great play from both players here, staying very cognizant of what's going on. Evolution Chamber is up, Creep Colony is on the way. I feel like that must have been the building that didn't get placed. That is going to hurt Purple Wave. He does have a little bit of a supply space surplus, but I don't think he's going to get away with this without losing at least one Overlord, maybe even two, since this one got hurt up a bit. First, oh, it's actually a Sunken Colony. This one's going to be a Spore. Overlords need to focus around that. Another Sunken Colony coming up front. One Overlord has gone down. Hydralisk is here now. Hydralisk is going to push that Sair away, and it is just going to be one Sair. I like this play from Purple Wave. I'm sorry, from Antigua, but Antigua made a second one. 2 is good. I think maybe focusing the gas on something else in the economy when you're on a one-base economy is more important. It's still going to be consistent Zealot production. It's just going to be speed, no +1 it seems. So a speed timing is viable, but with the amount of Zerglings that we saw earlier, there's quite a number of Zerglings and Hydralisks out now. I would like to see. I would expect that Purple Wave should be able to hold this, and the Zergling is going to confirm the presence of. Oh, sorry about that. I wanted to see if he saw the expansion. I can't tell now anymore. I'm sorry about that. He is going to see the speed lots out. He is going to potentially see that expansion coming up. And the follow-up is going to be Templar Tech indeed. So, very aggressive opening from Antigua in this game 1. Speed lots are going to be running in here. There is a lot of army here, though. And what are we doing about that Lurker Tech? Not done yet. This is a good timing for Antigua to run in here. Perhaps slightly delayed on the layer and the Hydra Tech earlier in the game. Hydra's trying to run out. Overlord going down could be problematic, but no, he still has a surplus. The gas count is actually quite low. The second gas was very, very late for Purple Wave. Maybe a little bit flustered, maybe forgot to put it down there. He's not going to be able to make very many Lurkers when this upgrade finishes. Upgrade is almost done now, though. The Hydralisks are in a great position to create an additional wall at the front of the base, but this is clearly a panic sunk in here. He saw the amount of Zealots there. He thought, I'm not going to have Lurkers in time for this. And speaking of which, he isn't even making the Lurkers. Zerglings don't have speed either, which hurts their maneuverability a lot against these speed lots. Zerglings are going to run through the meat grinder here, lose a couple of them. More Zealots coming out. Looks like he just wants to confirm the presence of an expansion. Cannons should even be up on time almost to handle this. Zealots are going to try to body block here. The Zerglings are running in. This is... Unfortunately, it's been a waste of units, to be honest with you. When you're on such low bases, losing a little bit of your larva economy is not that great. And he invested a lot of early larvae into these Zerglings, and it looks like he's not going to get much gain out of this besides information, which of course is valuable, but I think I would have preferred to have those Zerglings alive and help buffer the lurkers that are surely coming soon. 4 hatcheries now on one base, and hopefully a 5th one coming up soon for Purple Wave, who does have the requisite money. Economies are actually quite similar because of the fact that Antigua has been on one base for so long. But Antigua should start climbing up a little bit compared to his Zerg compadre, given the fact that the 3rd base has been delayed so long. Now, looking at the army composition, yeah, first few lurkers are out. I can't help but feel that Antigua should have anticipated this a little bit better. With only 2 cannons, there is still the possibility that this could be a problematic force for Antigua to deal with. I mean, for Antigua to deal with, if there were more Zerglings in the mix. I feel like with Zerglings body blocking the lurkers from the Zealots, he could have maybe scared the Zealots all the way back to the natural. There being only 2 cannons here is not much of a threat. Two lurkers with Zergling support could have pushed that down. Denying the natural could have definitely been an option. Another hatchery coming down for Purple Wave. Now it's a 6-hatch Zerg. Starting to get into scary territory, getting all of the range upgrades for the Hydra. So it's actually going to be Hydra Lurk, which technically is the better composition against Protoss, but I feel like it has delayed and closed the window on the opening that Purple Wave had going into this. This is the range upgrade for Zerg. I'm not sure if speed upgrade is done yet. This is the range upgrade for damage for both the Lurkers and the Hydras. Hydras are going to start poking out now. The Zealots are still not at +1. There's actually no +1 spinning, which I find really interesting. Antigua does have plenty of money. Lurkers are going to start pushing with the Hydras as well. Hydras and Lurkers need to work in concert to push up here, but a little too late maybe. The observatory is almost done. Observatories finish very fast, so do observers. 3rd base is now up for Purple Wave Human, who's doing a great job of managing his money, but is now falling behind in economy, as mentioned before. Looks like he's going for a very heavy army approach here. And actually, this is a scary army. There are a lot of Templar, though, and I'm sure that they have Storm by now. One of them has 2 even. And yeah, I think that window has officially closed. It looks like there is going to be an attempt to slow down the Lurkers, or at least weaken them enough. Yeah, I'm not sure about these Storms being worth it. I don't necessarily think so. You want to wait until the Hydras are standing on top of the Lurkers, but this might be just kind of like, yo, don't even think about busting me type move. Wasting all the Storms here, it could lead to a pretty even fight using the cannons and the Zealots. But yeah, as I said before, I'm not sure if that is the best decision. You could actually make a cannon here, I think, and it would still shoot at the Lurker over here. More army being trapped in the main base. You can see the constraints of space that you have here. This is going to be very difficult to manage for Antigua. First observer coming out, though, so it should be helpful. No Dragoons is a dangerous thing. Dragoon range not done yet. 3rd base now operation for Purple Wave. And Antigua is actually making up quite a lot of money. I would have wanted to see him be at like closer to 8 gate, and I guess we are getting to that number here. But I mean, yeah, they're both playing very well, I think. Zerg, despite being behind economically and in supply, this is kind of a typical position to be in at this point. I feel like Antigua's 2-gate opener, all that it led to him being is contained by Lurkers, which is not a position you want to be in. But again, the Lurker position was a little bit delayed as well. Great use of the Dragoon there instead of wasting a Storm to break that Lurker. But there is still more surface area to be Lurker contained with, and it's going to come down to the Storms here. I feel like the Storms should be able to break out of here because there are only 2 Lurkers, but it's going to depend on how the Hydras interact. Also, keep in mind there's still no +1. First Storm coming down on those Lurkers and Hydras. Great first few Storms. Trying to hit both Lurkers, only hit one of them. Now the second Storm does come in. Hydras are not fighting together. They're not dodging the Storms, but they did get some trickle damage on the Zealots here. And the control from Purple Wave. Oh, it's so hard to dodge Storms at the lower levels of Brood War. And trust me, I'm garbage at it too, so I'm not talking about it as if I'm much better. But Purple Wave managing to bust out of there, and I have to blame the fact that Purple Wave just didn't have that Lurker numbers that he needed, and that's possibly due to that late second gas. And if we look at the actual mining efficiency, this is not a 3-drone gas anymore. This is at least a 4-drone gas, and it's all because of this sunken colony here. So now Antigua suddenly has a very scary army to push out with. He has 90 supply in army. That is 45 Protoss units. That is like almost 4 control groups against, I mean, there's still a fair amount of Zerg army as well, but I don't think it's going to be in time here to defend this 3rd base. So let's take a look at how the engagements go. The first Storm is juicy. You never want to be a Zerg clumping up in the path leading up to an engagement. And I'm not sure if these Hydralisks are fast. No, yeah, they're definitely fast Hydralisks. They're not slow Hydralisks. But yeah, this clumping of army is something you always want to avoid, as you want to spread your army out and then attack. This kind of running around the edge of the map makes it incredibly easy to stack up your Hydras and lose all of them to Storm. But I mean, granted, even though a large number of Hydras went down, I was going to say that there's no more Storms, but there's actually quite a lot. Very well played by Antigua to keep the army count up and the Storm count up. Is going to lose all these... No, actually is not going to lose all these Templar. These Templar look like they might escape unless the War Drone catches them out of guard. Hydralisks are trying to chase them down now too. But one thing that bothers me is that Antigua didn't take a third base behind this. Antigua may be thinking that he can close the game out here, and he might be right. Now that I'm looking at it, another great Storm falling on those Hydras here. Purple Wave has lost so many Hydras to Storm. Really just another reason why Zerg AI are so scary, given their Storm dodging abilities. And Antigua, I mean, he's out of Templar for the moment, it seems. For the most part, does have one Archon on the way. Looks like he's just going to check these bases now, suspecting that there is going to be an expansion there. And indeed, there's one coming up. It's not completed yet, so Purple Wave could save some money, but being a 2-base Zerg against a 2-base Protoss, scary place to be. Again, there we go, and there is that third base from Antigua that I was looking for. Yeah, Purple Wave does cancel that drone, anticipating the fact that it's going to get denied here. And is aware of Antigua's third base at the same time, though. I mean, still, at this point, with 5 hatchery production, he did only lose 1 hatchery at this base, so that's one thing that Purple Wave has going for him. I feel like with 5 hatchery production, he should be able to at least equal the 9 gateway production of Purple Wave in terms of pure Hydra count, or at least be competitive with it, even after all those losses. But as the economic difference shifts further and further in Antigua's favor after securing this potential third base, and ooh, I love this move, making that lurker here. Burrow that lurker and wait for that probe transfer. Oh, so juicy. Oh, that could be so juicy. That is a pimp play right there. Yeah. Oh, you showed the game too early. You don't want to reveal that so early. And I just missed a big fight where all the Hydras died, so that should be demoralizing as heck. Purple Wave at now half the supply of Antigua. Is aware of that expansion. Has sent an observer there. Hydralisk now coming in, unfortunately for Antigua, right after the Archon merge, but the whole army is coming back to clean this up. Sniping the Nexus could have been viable, but no, unfortunately, no, it's not. The Nexus is down to its main health, but yeah, the Lurker does go down, and that is all she wrote for that Lurker, and that beautiful potential Pippus play there. And yeah, Antigua's doing a great job of spending his money now. I mean, part of that is because his main's mined out, so now he finally gets to transfer the probes after the Lurker delay there. But also the fact that he's on 9 gateways is helping tremendously as well. Having the requisite amount of gateway, of production facilities in general is what you want to have. Alright, so it looks like Purple Wave, what is he planning on? Just going straight up. Yeah, he's going to give up on this third base. He's going to work off the fact that he's more cost efficient than Antigua, I think. And he's going to try to deny this third base, but I don't think he'll be able to with this army and this cannon count. Hydras are not in significant number enough to do it. Cheeky little Storm here is going to stop the reinforcements. Antigua, yeah, I mean, with Templar coming in now, hiding behind the cannons, there are some Storms here. Nice snipe and nice Storm too, though. Hydras are coming in, probes are going to fight as well. 1-1 upgrades. This game is turning into Slobber Knocker, but unfortunately I feel like it's one that, yeah, Purple Wave is going to lose. He's starting to see the writing on the wall and realizes that he just does not have enough to compete with an established third base from Protoss. 3 gases. And yeah, GG. Great first game in the series. If I recall correctly, I feel like, if I remember correctly, Purple Wave said that the first game was a stomp, but it didn't seem like a stomp to me. It seemed like both players getting a feel for each other, testing each other out a little bit. Both players playing a little bit aggressive, which I like to see. Next game is going to be on Benzene. Spawning in the top right of Benzene, we have Antigua as the yellow Protoss, and at the bottom left of Benzene, we have Purple Wave, the purple Zerg. So, Benzene, it's a map, I haven't honestly seen all that many PVZs on it, but in general, 2-player maps would or should favor Protoss. It depends on the layout, of course. In this case, I feel like the layout is interesting at the very least. There is possibilities for some lurker shenanigans on this high ground with the neutral buildings, but you don't often see them. The tight choke is good for Protoss as well, but it's also hard to bust into Zerg naturals. The fact that the third base, the third gas here, has two entrances and is kind of open makes it a little bit more difficult for both players. So it's going to be interesting to see how this develops. Generally, when your third base doesn't have gas, I would say that it's hard on both players, but maybe harder on Protoss in this case. Hydras don't demand much gas, whereas Templar and all the requisite tech do. Nice by Antigua here, denying that expansion attempt. Now is being forced to send two drones. The first one is injured, and yes, blocking that blocking that hatchery. Purple Wave thought that he could bully that probe off. He hasn't even built that the spawning pool yet. That's a big mistake, I think. As soon as your natural starts getting denied for any significant amount of time, you can generally just afford to throw down a pool and then go straight into the hatchery afterwards. And uh-oh, we got sneaky sneakies here. Sneaky sneakies. I wonder if that's going to get caught. So let's take a look at... no, he's not going to see it, but I think he might hear it. And is it a cannon rush? Yes, indeed, it seems to be a cannon rush. And no, the drone's going to spot it. Nice. And he doesn't even send an attack command, but it looks like Purple Wave is going to invest in it anyway. Colony's coming up. Sunkens and cannons finish at relatively the same amount of time. Oh, pulling in, attacking the... Oh, Antigua decided to panic cancel. And I guess he's happy with having forced quite a significant amount of investment, but at the same time, his expansion is late. At the same time, Purple Wave even taking the bottom right third base, too. This game is already crazy to start with. These two cannons are going to be an annoyance here later somehow, I'm positive. Looks like Antigua is going to find this expansion now too. He's going to be like, oh crap, he didn't react nearly as poorly as I thought he might have, maybe. But at the same time though, the gas is up, needs to start being mined. Yes, there we go. The mining is coming in. Need a cybernetics core as well to start teching up. Even though the Nexus is late, the tech shouldn't be that late. And Lair already on the way for Purple Wave Human off of 3 bases. So I think that Purple Wave has a significant chance of doing something serious here because of the fact that the tech is so late from Antigua. The expansion is so late from Antigua. Even though there were, of course, you know, some crazy investments from Purple Wave, at this point you have to realize, oh, Antigua, sneaky sneakies. Yes, I thought that this would be an area that could be abused by lurkers, but I'm seeing now that it could be an area abused by probes as well. First Zealot is now out. There are no military units, it seems like, for Purple Wave, so this could actually do some significant damage. Yeah, no army yet. Gonna try to drill, forgot to do the drilling part. At least, I mean, one drone went down. Nice drill there. Zerglings arrive. Yeah, great defense from Purple Wave at the end. Is floating quite a lot of money, though. So, this early layer tech. Oh, hidden spire tech. I like it. Third cannon here could actually be a significant portion of the defense here for Antigua. Antigua is actually quite late. Oh, but it's going double starport. Did he scout that, or is it just a blind read? Oh my goodness. Cannon coming out. Double starport is actually a great counter to 3-hatch Mutalisk in this matchup, so I'm surprised that it was caught this way. And Overlord's going to start going down for Purple Wave, but he does have a significant number. He is going to be able to fly into the main base. He is going up to 5 bases now. What a play. And he does have these spores from earlier, so you can build Evo and Lurk and Overlords here. Mutalisks are gathering up now. Cannon shows that maybe he found out about it, though. I don't know how he could have seen it. Yeah, focus on the cannon. Focus on the probes. Stairs are coming out in number. Scourge are not engaging. You need to go in with the Scourge first. Oh, the Scourge get popped. Oh, that's not a good look. Yeah, that hurt a lot. So generally what the meta is in terms of how you engage with that is you send in the Scourge first and you clone them to all the Sayers. Oh my god, so much Scourge death. Oh, so brutal to look. And then because the Sayers have to be running around, the Mutalisks can kill the cannons, kill the probes. Famous game of highlighting this is the turnaround match between Stork and Jaedong on Katrina. I believe it was the 2009 Bacchus OSL, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it could have been a different one from the same era. But Jaedong was down 2 games to 3, and oh, DTs now, I heard them. DT's now coming into the mix. 5 bases, but it's no overlords. What can you do? I mean, he's still not supply blocked necessarily, and the DT is not going to be able to get more than one pick off there. Spore Colony is going to be helpful as well. And again, these colonies from earlier could actually be helpful, but needs colonies at every base at this point. I think that part of the reason why Antigua is doing so well is because he still hasn't realized that this base is here. I would like to see maybe a transition into Lurkers. Lurkers should be really good against this. Dark Templar Zealot heavy army that is bound to come out after a 2 Stargate, 2 base build. But yeah, the stair count is significant. They are going to find this base now. They are going to find these overlords. It's going to be very annoying for Purple Wave. There are a significant number of overlords here, but the Spore Colony does scare them away. Scourge doesn't seem... No, maybe it did take one down. DT and Zealots looking to take that third base now, it seems. Should not be able to bust this, I don't think. Yeah, the presence of Hydralisks should make that clear to Antigua. And this base needs defense, and this base is on the way of getting defense. So nicely done. Very good game so far from both players. Antigua still popping overlords, and finally Purple Wave gets blocked. But you have to consider how much money Purple Wave has spent on overlords throughout this whole time. And Antigua now, he's getting up to that scary gateway count where you can start taking down these bases quite easily. The lack of defense here is showing to be a weakness. No Lurker tech as well. Double Evo Chamber looks to be maybe going into Lurker Ling based on the fact that it's going to be armor first. So possibly hoping to get to Fast Hive, but it doesn't seem to be the chance. There was some investment into this base. Some overlords did go down again. So Antigua definitely holding on. Definitely still has a good bank and good pop to stay in this game, and is still keeping that overlord count low. No High Templar yet, and as I say that, the first few seem to be coming out now. Hydralisk count not nearly where you want it to be. Nice snipe on the probe though. But yeah, no, the army from Purple Wave now is, I'm sorry, from Antigua is going to be greater and greater now, is going to start taking out these bases. Purple Wave, it seems, just never got to the point where he could comfortably macro an army, and possibly was split up a little bit between his desires here. It actually is going to be Hydralisk tech, but I think it would have been better to go for range upgrade first. Contrary to the last game, Antigua does have that +2 now, as quite early for his Zealots after that kind of weird start, and is actually on the way to +3. Looks like this Protoss is going to be aware, I'm sorry, this Zerg is going to be aware of this base that is trying to be put up by Antigua at the top, and is going to possibly take down a lot of this stuff. But ooh, the army, I would have probably tried to take down the cannons maybe one by one, but I don't know, it's hard to say. This does get cleared up, and now it is going to be a 4-base Protoss against a 3 and soon-to-be 4-base Zerg, and that is a tough place to be, and Antigua manages to change this quirky start of the game, including the quirky third base here from Purple Wave, into an advantage. And maybe it was partially luck for going for double Stargate. I don't think that he could have determined that it was going to be Mutalisks based on what opening he saw, especially if he's considering the fact that he saw the Zerg take a second base out of mineral only, meaning that the third gas should be delayed either way. Excuse me. Yeah, I think Antigua maybe had stumbled into a strong build order, but he has done very well in carrying it out to a victory here, because looking at the supplies, 198 against 78, I think that it's just about over. 17-minute max out after that kind of start is very nicely done by Antigua. And yeah, I think he's going to take the W here just with this one last push here, pushing up to the top, takes out some overlords. Again, supply blocked is Purple Wave. Storm's coming out on this choke. This choke is so brutal for Storms. Another choke, Storm, no. And DTs that are not going to be seen by anyone. Storm right on top of the army as well. And yeah, there's very little that Purple Wave can do about this, I feel, as Antigua continues to take his half the map. And this base is now vulnerable as well. The lack of lurkers defensively, especially, I think really contributed to the fail. I don't want to say, I was going to say failure of the defenses, but I stopped at fail because I didn't want to say failure, and it turned out even worse than what I intended. But there it is. Antigua takes it over Purple Wave Human and moves on to the Grand Finals, which will be our next broadcast. Our next broadcast will be Losers Round 5, which is the final game, and it's in the losers bracket. It's going to be a best of 3 between Purple Wave and TSC Mu, who battled all the way through the losers bracket to make it there. And then the winner of that match is going to face off against Antigua in the Grand Finals. I do have all of those replays available to me, and yeah, look forward to the next cast. Excuse me, I will let you know when those are coming up in the Discord. If you have any questions, feel free to join the SSCAIT Discord. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you guys at the next broadcast. Hope you guys had a great time. Take care and have a wonderful day. Cheers.